I have the honor to introduce our presenter for today in a more formal manner, Tracy Timm. She's a career clarity expert, organizational advisor, speaker, and author. Tracy is the founder of the Nth Degree Career Academy, and it's a proven career clarity system that helps high potential professionals discover, define, and drive careers they love. Now, Tracy has a degree in behavioral psychology from Yale, and she studied design thinking with the founder of the d.school at Stanford University. So Tracy's journey to become this coach and advisor, speaker, and author in part began when she left a successful but unsatisfying career in finance. And what she did was rather bold. She traveled once around the world on semester at sea, and she started to discover her ideal career. So for the last 5 years plus, Tracy has used these lessons in her career advisory work, and she has worked with hundreds of individuals and well over 100 fast growing companies. Tracy is a trendsetter, and we're happy to have you with us today. Welcome to 40 Plus. You have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I don't know if for the record, I did not write trendsetter into my own bio. So I love that you added that. I feel like I just achieved a life goal there. So thank you for that accolade. That was wonderful. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is 9 a.m. here in Dallas, and it is Monday. And I am super impressed at all of you guys up and at 'em and wanting to learn this early in the week and this early in the day. It's a wonderful thing that 40 Plus is providing, and I'm really excited to be here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So if you are interested in seeing the lovely slides that I've prepared for you today, make sure that you have that view on. So hopefully you see me popping some champagne there, because I am generally an excitable person. I am not, though, a morning person. So I will be drinking coffee throughout this conversation. And I hope that you'll bear with me. I just want to give you guys as much knowledge and information that I can give you in the time that we have today. So I'll probably speak for the next 40 minutes or so. I do like to encourage, though, conversation along the way. So there will be moments when I ask you to type yes into the chat if you resonate with what I'm saying, or to share your own experience, or to give an example of your own. So please do feel free to use the chat consistently. And then if you have questions along the way, please type those into the chat as well. I'll ask that Jeffrey or Craig or Gaddafi take stock of those questions as we go, so that we can have some of those at the end ready to rock when we get into Q&A. And then I have blocked off this time for you guys in whatever capacity I can help you is what I'd like to do for you. So I have some prepared remarks, as Jeffrey said, but then I'd love to go deeper with anyone who wants to stick around and talk about your specific situation and try to troubleshoot anything going on, given what my expertise is. So I'll just be hopping right in. Thanks so much for having me. Again, my name is Tracy. Welcome to your masterclass, coming straight to you from the Big D, Dallas, and trying to, help the world one person at a time come back to life at work. Craig mentioned this, or sorry, Jeffrey mentioned this, but I'll go into it in a little bit more depth and detail as we go. But I did start my career in a place where I was absolutely miserable. I spent 2.5 years working on Wall Street. I was working for RBS in Stamford, Connecticut, if any of you are familiar with that part of the world. And absolutely hating my life almost the entire time, and just wondering if that was all that there was to life, was work that you dragged yourself to every single day, and frankly just not being okay with that. And that's what set me off on a journey to really discover how we can have more clarity on a consistent basis, how we can feel more confidence and certainty and clarity in our decision making around our career, and less trial and error, less confusion, less overwhelm, less uncertainty. And so that's what I'm going to share with you guys today, is how to get clear and how to get more certainty in your career search. So before we get into all the goods, I just want to check in and see where you're at real quick. These are I'm a big believer that time is probably our most underappreciated asset. So I want you to know that you're here for a good reason and you're in the right place. If you resonate with any of these prompts, if you don't, then you're probably still in a good place. But maybe, these are the things that my clients and all the people we've been talking to over the last year have been telling us. So if this sounds like you, I'd love you to start participating by typing yes into the chat box. So maybe you've had some success in your career. You've seen some successful moments and people have told you, yes, I consider you a success, but maybe your career's been more responsive to opportunities, right? Or reactions to circumstances. So this job was presented to you and you're like, okay, it fell in my lap. I guess I'll take it. And it wasn't necessarily bad or wrong. It's just responsive, not necessarily proactive. Or perhaps you tolerate what you're doing professionally. You kind of get through the day. It's not really bad or good. It just is. And maybe even you get paid well, but you're just not engaged. You're not fully there. You're not fulfilled, or you don't, talk excitedly about the work that you do every day. You're just kind of getting through it. Or perhaps you have this sense like I did that you're made for more. There's more for you to do in the world, and maybe you want to be doing something different, but you're just not really sure what that is. Like if someone really pressed you to say, what is it, where is it, who does it, that's still confusing in your mind. It's still not clear. Or my personal favorite, this is massively the most popular answer that we've gotten over the last year, is that it's not that the pandemic changed the world, it's that the pandemic got me out of my routine. And now I'm starting to rethink my values. I'm starting to rethink my career path. I've gotten pushed out of my comfort zone, for lack of a better term, and I'm daunted. This is complex. I'm not really sure how to start from scratch and create a job that I love when I'm so used to just having a job based on my skills or based on what's given to me or based on the next obvious opportunity. So if any of these are you, I just want you to know that you're in a good spot. You're in the right place. This is exactly what I believe I'm equipped to help you guys with today. And if these are not you, then I would love to know a little bit more about your situation, and we're going to get there in a moment, but you're in good hands. So onward we go. If you think this might be the right time to start thinking about what's ideal in your career, not just what's next, not just what's easy, not just what's obvious, then my job here today is to help you get proactive and to help you be intentional, to help make sure that as you move forward in your career, it's with your focused target in mind. It's with your ideal career. We were talking about this before we hopped on the call. I mean, say what you want about Tom Brady. I'm actually not a huge fan of Tom Brady's, but that's only because he wins so dang much. And it's just like, come on already. Like, why do you have to be the best? It's because he's the best. If you don't like him, you can't deny that he's the best. He's got himself in the right role for his skills and for his talent, and he works hard at it, and he gets better and better and surrounds himself with the right coaches. I mean, he is in his genius zone. And when you think about it, that's the opportunity that all of us have in our careers. It's to be the best. But in order to be the best and win the most often, we have to be in the right spot to achieve that level of success, right? Think about any Olympic athlete, the Michael Phelpses of the world and the Usain Bolts of the world. They win those gold medals because they're in their ideal genius zone. They're playing their event, not someone else's. And the way that I think we can do that today is to get really clear on where we are right now, so we can build from that foundation and we can get to the right place where we have the best chance of succeeding at the highest level. So onward we go. I had this epiphany earlier this year, late last year, where I realized that most things in life have a process. And if we want to learn how to do them, we would simply go look up that process and we'd do it the way that it was prescribed, right? So on the left, we have a cake. On the right, we have a car. If you and I want to bake a cake and we've never done that before, or maybe even if we have done it before, what would we do? We wouldn't just throw a bunch of ingredients into a bowl and mix it all up and throw it into the oven and hope a cake appears, right? We would look up a recipe and we would follow the recipe to the nth degree, right? It would be the exact measurements and the exact mixing strategy and the exact temperature to bake it. And we could predict, presumably, that we're going to get a successful cake. The same is maybe even more true if we need to jump our car. You and I are not going to randomly grab the black and I told you I'm not a morning person, the black and the red handles and just stick them in there and hope that we're going to jump our car and not kill ourselves. What would we do? we'd look up a YouTube video, or we'd Google how to jump a car, or maybe those of us who are old school would look at the manual, right? And we'd ask ourselves, what are the proven steps? What is the proven process to get success out of this situation? What do I need to do? Step 1, step 2, step 3. What ingredients do I need to include? To what extent, right? To get what I want out of this situation. And you know what? None of us do this professionally. None. How many of you, type yes into the chat if you could describe your career strategy as trial and error? Type yes into the chat if you have ever trial and errored a job. Maybe I'll just try it. Maybe I'll just see if I like it. Maybe, maybe it's going to be better than I think it's going to be. Maybe it's the right thing to do because it's here and it's present, right? That was my very first job out of college. I was like, I'm smart. I can learn fast. Maybe I'll like it, and maybe that'll be great because I'll get to make a bunch of money and I'll get to live in a cool place and I'll get to have a fancy job. And it did not work for me. And there were plenty of things that I could have researched ahead of time to know that it wasn't going to work, but I was too scared. I was too scared. And so that's what I want to walk you guys through today is the recipe. I was not born knowing the recipe. I'm not a career clarity expert, clarity coach, whatever you want to call it, because I've had this amazing, illustrious career and never done anything wrong. And here I can tell you everything to do properly. No, it's because I did it all wrong. I did it all wrong. At every step of the way, I let fear be my guide. I was reactive instead of proactive. I didn't take responsibility for myself, right? But I decided one day that I was not going to continue to live that way. So I left the Wall Street job, even though it looked amazing on paper. And I decided whatever it takes, I'm going to find this recipe. Whatever it takes, right? If it's going to take me years and a whole bunch of money, fine. So I spent 2 years traveling, as Jeffrey said, and that was like going back to school and then living on couches. Like when you say 2 years traveling, that sounds really fancy. It's not. It was couch surfing and living at my aunt and uncle's for a month, and then living off of somebody else's couch for a month. I mean, it was a mess. Trying to figure out who I was, trying to get clear on what I wanted to be when I grew up. And what was fascinating is that imagine that you and I are on one side of a dark room, and on the other side of the dark room, if we hit that other wall, we've discovered our dream job. But it's completely pitch black and there's crap all over the ground, right? There's furniture in the way, there's toys on the ground, right? And our job is to go from where we are now to our dream job. But the only way to do it is to walk through the dark, right? The only way to do it is to stumble and fall and scrape your knee and stub your toe. And I did that for 2 years. And then when I turned around, I was given a flashlight and I could look back and go, oh, I did all the right steps, right? I went and did all the right discovery. I just did it really inefficiently and really ineffectively. And it took a long time and a lot of money. And so I started to think, can I take what I learned in this process, and can I teach it to other people? And can I over time make it even more efficient? So I spent the next 5 years working some with individual clients, and then also a lot with companies, really in more of a human capital advisory capacity. So I would go in and I'd help them deploy assessments and hire the right people and coach teams and communicate better. And all through that process, it took about 3 years to really get clear on this recipe, but I discovered that there's an actual formula. There's a step-by-step framework for discovering your true value and your ideal career. And it's not like I made this up. I think it's really just that I put it in my own words. And you'll find that successful people everywhere. Yeah, somebody saw my cat just jump right over my shoulder. Isn't she cute? Hi. These are the joys of working from home, right? So, this specific formula and framework, what's fascinating about it is it's very clear step by step, but it takes work. It takes us focusing on ourselves. It takes us letting go of what other people expect from us. And it takes us being bold, being brave, and deciding that, an average life is not what we want. We want ideal. We want amazing. We want to be the Tom Brady's, right? We want to win the most. You want to be the GOAT. And the only way to do that is to go through this process. So, oh, this is my book. I don't know why I have that slide, but are you guys ready to see the proven formula? Give me at least one yes in the chat. Anybody want to see the formula for your dream job? Say yes, say yes, say yes. I know I'm a cheese ball. There we go. Thank you, Danielle. Okay, so this is the Nth Degree. This is our contextual model is what we call it in our business. So what's a contextual model? Imagine that you're looking at a visual version of what we teach. So if you've ever looked at a food pyramid, that's a contextual model, right? It's an immediate visual of what you need to know. So this is the Nth Degree process. It starts here with now, and it moves circularly to the right like a clock and all the way back up to the top. Now, the reason that it's a circle is because I am a full-on believer that we evolve constantly. And so our dream jobs, our ideal careers are also going to evolve constantly. So we always need to start with now. Where are you in your life right now? And then we need to remember, as we're discovering our true value, who we are naturally. What are our behaviors and gifts and strengths? And then we need to account for everything that we've learned and earned. So what about our skills and our knowledge and our expertise? Who have we become at this moment in time? And when we get to the bottom of the method, we pull all of those puzzle pieces together, now, nature, and nurture, to define our niche, to define our genius zone and our sweet spot professionally right now. This is your ideal career right now. And then, of course, once we've discovered our ideal or true value and we've defined our genius zone, then we've got to get in the driver's seat, right? We've got to start making moves. And this is the thing that 40 plus does beautifully. It helps you guys network. It helps you navigate. It helps you nourish yourself along the way, and then nourish your community, right? Nourish your support system. So what we're going to focus on today is not really getting into define and drive, but deeply understanding where you are right now, so that as you look forward, you have a targeted approach. You have a narrowed focus of exactly what it is that you want to do. So, like I said, these are the 3 phases really to unleash your potential. If you have questions about define, questions about drive, we're going to save those to the end. That's when we're going to really be able to dive into a little bit more detail on the sort of, I'll call them midstream and downstream activities, because today it's so early in the new year and so many of us are wondering, what, who am I now? Quote, post-pandemic, even though it's still going on, right? What do I want now? What are my values at this moment in time and at this moment in my life? And that's what we're going to get in more depth on today. Plus, I'm going to totally open kimono and share with you guys what my values are and what my vision is for this year. And hopefully they'll give you some good examples. So discover, define, and drive. Today, we're going to focus on now, which is part of the discover phase. So if you're taking notes, I'm going to be telling you guys really how to walk through each of these steps in the now part of the process. You probably won't be able to go into depth on actually applying them today, but take notes. And then I'm happy to, if you guys are taking screenshots, fantastic. I'm happy to provide slides. So, drink it in for the time being, take notes, but don't get too worried on the actual application just yet. So these are the 4 major exercises that we take our clients through in the now phase. And again, the purpose of now is to just really ground yourself. Where am I in my life? What do I have going for me foundationally that's going really well? What do I actually care about? Meaning, what can I build my decisions around? What can I build my career around at this moment in time? And what's my vision for my near-term future? What do I want my life to look like? And I think until we're clear on these 4 things, any goal we have is really not well founded. Any drive components, any defining of our genius zone is really not rooted in reality. It's not rooted in what matters. It's not rooted in what's going to actually move the needle when push comes to shove and when we have to make really hard decisions. Okay. So step 1 is going to be doing what we call a life audit. I'm going to explain exactly what that means in a second, but step 1 is a life audit. Once we've audited where we are in our lives in totality, right? Then we want to move into our core values. What really deeply matters to each of us individually at this moment in time. Then we want to start thinking about the future. Okay, if this is where I am in my life and these are my values, what does that mean I want? What does my ideal life look like? What is that vision for ideal? And if I want to get there, what are the commitments I need to make to myself and the people around me and my life that'll actually produce that vision, right? What do I need to absolutely say yes to and absolutely say no to for that vision to become my reality? So these are the 4 things that we're going to walk through together today. And at each step, I'm going to share my examples. So my life audit, my core values, my future vision, and of course, my commitments. Because if you're not practicing what you preach, then unfortunately, well, how many of us do that, right? What do they say? The cobbler's kids are never wearing shoes. It's like we give all this great advice and then we don't use it ourselves. It's because we're constantly focused on other people. I do this process for myself and my business, and I have everybody in my business on my team do this once a year, every January. So you're going to see my example from literally a couple weeks ago, right? Happy days. All right, this would be my first and most obvious question. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot is a life audit. what the heck are you trying to get me to do, Tracy? It's tax time. I don't even want to think about audits. This is horrendous. A life audit. Okay. How many of you have had a job you hated? If you've ever had a job you hated, type yes into the chat. If you've ever just woken up every morning and been like, why am I going to this place? I hate this place. What am I doing with my life, right? It is the worst feeling in the world. And oftentimes when we're not happy with where we are professionally, then it can ooze out and over into the rest of our lives, right? All of a sudden, you're not as fun to be around, or you don't even want to hang out with your friends, and you're snippy with your spouse, and your kids are wondering why you're not happy when you come home. And well, you start drinking a little bit more, and you start eating a little bit differently, and now you've gained weight, and you don't feel good about yourself, right? It just oozes into the rest of our lives, unfortunately. And so it can often paint the entire picture as negative, right? But what I found from my own experience, and the reason why we start with this audit with all of our clients, is because you have more going for you in your life than your job, period. And I guarantee you have more positive things going for you than you think you do. And what each of us needs to feel confident about moving forward is a really solid understanding of what's going well and what could be going better in order for us to move forward with clarity, right? Because if all we think is going on is our horrible job and then we solve for that, we haven't appreciated that our lives are much more full and richer than just our professional lives. So this life audit functions for a couple reasons. It helps us figure out what's really going on right now, because we may think it's all sucky, we may think it's all gravy, but getting objective about these things is really a game changer. Because when you take the time to evaluate your unique set of circumstances, you really illuminate what actually matters. You may think your job matters a whole lot more to you than it really does. You may think money matters more to you than it really does. You may underestimate some of the things that actually matter, like family or faith or friends, right? And this way you can go deeper than, oh, just this isn't working. And you can see actually why you feel the way that you feel, why you might feel unsatisfied, why you might not feel inspired, why you might not feel motivated. It may not just be coming from work, it may be coming from other places too. So the best part of all this is that you're going to know what matters, and you're going to know what matters before you make decisions, not after, which means you can have a lot less stress in your decision-making process and a lot more authenticity as you move forward. So if you're taking notes, this is my life audit exercise. This is how you're going to go through this exercise yourself. And I'm going to show you an example here in a second. So number one is that you want to write out either on 8 separate sheets of paper, or I like to do this in a spreadsheet because frankly, it just consolidates all the information in one place for me. So maybe you have a column for each of these. These are the 8 core areas of your life. You have your social life, emotional, physical, spiritual, financial, professional, intellectual, and environmental. And yes, all 8 of those are different things. I've done this quite a few times, and I find that 5 is too many. Definitely 10 is 5 is too few, 10 is too many. There are about 8 solid core areas of our lives. And what you want to do is have 3 sections for each of these 8 areas. What's going well in this area? What could improve in this area? And what just is? What are just some of the realities of my life that aren't positive necessarily, like aren't great, but aren't negative either. They just are, right? That's important because we want to be rooted in reality, right? We all have different circumstances. A 25-year-old who doesn't even own a fish, let alone a house, is going to have a totally different set of circumstances than a 40-year-old with a spouse and 2 kids and a car and a mortgage and etc. Right? Then I want you to set a timer. 5 minutes max for each of these areas, because activities will expand to the time that you allow them. We all know this, right? And you're going to ask yourself, what's going well, what could improve, and what's just true about this area of my life. 5 minutes for each area in this exercise. Then I want you to take a break, walk away from it. Seriously, take a nap. I always like to add napping into my exercises. I don't know about you guys. But when you take a break, you get away from it mentally. And when you come back, you have fresh eyes. So when you come back, that's what I want you to look through all of these 8 areas and ask yourself, if I had to choose 5 things that are going the best, the five most positive aspects of my life right now. What would my foundational five be? If I can only move forward with five things that are going well in my life, what are they? You know, is it your support system? Is it your spiritual life? Is it your physical or emotional health? Do you have a nice little cash savings? Is it your finance? Is it your financial life? You know, what is shoring you up in this moment in time? What can you use going forward as your foundation? So I am going to not stop my share, but I'm going to share a different screen. I'm going to show you my life audit from this year and my foundational five. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen here. I've got my, somebody at least confirm for me, type yes into the chat that you can see a spreadsheet. Otherwise we're all in trouble. Where's the chat? Can you all see a spreadsheet? Can I get an amen? Anybody?
Yes, we can see it, Tracy.
Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so this is my audit from literally a couple weeks ago in January. And I literally did exactly what I'm telling you guys. What's going well, what could improve, and what's just sort of neutral, right? I live alone with my two kitties. That's not bad or good, it just is. But then I looked deeper at my social life and I asked myself, okay, what's going really well in this area? I live really close to my mom. She's about 45 minutes away. We're super close. We see each other twice a week. We have tons of fun together. In fact, I just had brunch with her yesterday. What else is going well? I have this new office space that I love. I'm meeting new people. I'm making new relationships with the staff and with the other members, which is really fun. I live in like the Knox Henderson area of Dallas, if you're familiar, and I have two bars, one restaurant, one bar that I go to that are like my home bars. I know the bartenders and they know me, and it makes me feel like, I don't know, like I live in Italy and everybody knows your name, you know, it's like cheers. I have some friends that I'm really close to and I can go deep with, you know, and then I thought, okay, what could improve? Well, I'd love to be dating, you know. Being single during COVID, especially when you're clearly an extrovert, is a challenge. So I'm not able to be as social as I'd like to be. My sort of social life has gotten a little stagnant. Maybe I'm not meeting new people as regularly as I'd like to. So those were my social and going well, could improve, right? And neutral components. And then I went through emotional, then I went through physical, then I went through spiritual, then I went through financial, right? And what I did was come to some conclusions about what's going really well in my life right now. I feel, to be totally honest, like a little unmotivated and a little uninspired. I had a lot of huge milestones last year. I wrote a book and my business hit a cool financial milestone. I added 5 people to my team. And now I'm like, well, what's inspiring now? What do I want to do next? And I was kind of getting down on myself. Like, why am I not happy enough? You know, why is this success not enough for me? But when I looked at my top 5, I realized, oh my gosh, I have so much room to grow from here. Because number 1, I have this incredible supportive relationship with my mom. Number 2, I actually have a sense of freedom. It's just me and the cats, you know, so we can go wherever we want, really. I don't feel tied down or compelled to one necessary, you know, next action step in my career and in my life. And that's actually freeing, you know. It allows the questions to linger, right? It allows me to think more creatively about what I want to do next. I have this great practice proven system for making great life decisions. The Nth Degree equips me really well to look forward and go, how do I make the next best choice, right? How do I serve myself now in the moment while also pursuing something in the future that really matters? And you know, I have a great spiritual life. I have this successful business and expertise that I've built up. So I have a good foundation, right? These are my foundational 5 that I'm going to move forward with. So if you guys are out there and you're thinking about this right now, and you could just take a stab at, what is one, do you think, one of your foundational 5? Is it a spouse? Is it some money? Is it a sense of freedom? Is it a way to make great life decisions? Is it the fact that you have access to this group? You know, I've got a great community. If you could take a stab in the chat at one of your top 5 things going on in your life right now, one of your foundational 5, I invite you to share that with the group. Support. Oh, yay, Craig. I had a feeling when you hopped onto Zoom and you had that picture of you and your lovely wife. That's fantastic. Awesome. Good spouses. If you guys know any, you know, good spouses who aren't a spouse yet and you want to send them my way, that's part of my social life. Awesome. Got a good bit of money, intellectual freedom, powerful intuition. I love that. Good emotional bubble. That's very creative. I love that. Awesome. Supportive network of friends. See, we all have way more going for us than we think. And our foundational 5 is what gets us to the next step, right? It's what shores us up and allows us to move forward in our lives. That's fantastic. A real job. Go, Linda. Go, Linda. Go, Linda. I love it. Yes, God. Me too, friend. All right. Well done, you guys. Thank you for participating. Okay, so let's go back to the slides and let's talk about what happens after your life audit. So, oh, well, I was supposed to show you that already. All right, so now that we've done our life audit, we can move forward into figuring out our core values. The reason that we do the audit first is so you can get really clear on just what the actual circumstances of your life are. And that should actually highlight or illuminate your values. If something's not going well, that's probably because it's out of alignment with a value. And if something is going well, that usually highlights a value, that usually illuminates a value. Then we're going to get into future vision, obviously, and the commitments in order to get us there. So, aren't core values for companies? Come on, Tracy. Everybody talks about core values. I'm so over Zappos. Like, give me a break. I find this core value process fascinating. And I think most of us think that core values are cliche or trite or overdone because frankly, most people have core values or most companies have core values and never use them, right? You find out about them on day 1, they go up on a wall, maybe in your cube, and then you never use them. There's no application. There's no practical usage for integrity or faith or, love or whatever. They're just words. They're just ideas. They don't actually have teeth. They don't really get used ever. And that's the difference here between the way that I think core values have been used in the past and the way that I'm going to encourage you to use core values now. And the reason I think these are so important is because the truth of it is that we are always choosing, even when it feels like we have no choices. So what do I mean by that? Every decision that we make in life speaks to something that we value or something that we do not value, period. And the big question I want you to ask yourself today is, what are my decisions saying? What are my decisions saying? What are they saying about me? What are they saying to the world? What are they displaying that I care about? And what are they saying to the world that I don't care about enough to allow it to dictate my decisions? Because if you were to compare your choices, let's say in your career, because that's what we're talking about today, and your actions with what you say you value, would they align? Would they align or would they not? Do you say you're a person of integrity and yet time and time again, when push comes to shove, you smudge things a little bit? Do you say that you're a person who values family above all else and yet time and time again, you're working late and you're not there when they need you? These are the important questions. These are the big gut questions we have to ask ourselves because we have a choice, period. We have a choice. You have a choice when it comes to your career and your life. And if you're shaking your head and going, she's young, that's cute, she doesn't get it, I don't have a choice. We always have a choice. We are either victims or we are actors in our lives, and that's it. So the great thing about this is it shouldn't be sort of daunting and overwhelming. It should be freeing because people who have sustainably successful careers, meaning they can be successful for the long haul, the Tom Brady's who win 7, Super Bowls over their career, they align with their values constantly and without compromise, period. They don't compromise the things they really care about. In fact, they build those things into their career choices. And that's why they can be sustainably successful over a longer period of time. I lasted 2.5 years on Wall Street, quote unquote, being successful in lots of other people's eyes, but I could not last any longer. There was no amount of money that was going to keep me there because I was mentally and physically done, right? That's the difference. That's the difference between work you can do if you work your butt off and work you were made for, is that work you were made for allows you to continue to do that work without killing you. But all of this starts with knowing what you value and setting those values in advance and not compromising so that we can simplify the decision-making process as we're going through it, right? And then we can exponentially increase our chances for long-term success. All of this because we have core values at the base, at the root. So if you're taking notes, this is my 5-step core value discovery process. It's pretty straightforward. I love it. I use it every year. It takes exactly 1 hour. Okay. I call it the 10, 20, 30 core values discovery process, because first what you're going to do is a 10-minute brain dump of everything that matters to you. Literally just set a timer for 10 minutes and then just dump everything out of your head that you love, or that excites you, or makes you feel joy, or you value and you deeply care about. So the first things that come to your head, you know, if someone said, Tracy, what do you care about? What do you love in your life right now? What do you value? Well, I've got, you guys, I have 2 little kitty babies in my lap. They're both asleep. I love that. I love the cuddles. So literally the last time I did this, I wrote warm kitten cuddles. And that was like the very first thing that I valued. And then I thought, well, what do I love else in my life? Right. And one of the things was these 2 bars that are close to my house. I love that I walk in and I get hugs from people who work there, and I can sit there by myself, and it's not it's not sad. It's fun, right? I feel like I'm a part of the neighborhood. So again, 10-minute brain dump of everything that matters to you. Number 2, for 20 minutes, you're going to consult a list of core values for inspiration. I like to go to corevalueslist.com, corevalueslist.com. It has 500 core values to choose from. And I just scan it for 20 minutes, and anything that resonates goes onto my spreadsheet, right? Anything it's like, ooh, I forgot how much I loved thinking bigger, and I just type that into the spreadsheet. Ooh, I forgot how much I loved and how important integrity is to me. Boom, goes onto the spreadsheet, right? You do that for 20 minutes so that you can pick up any of the little pieces that you may not just have had it at the top of your mind when you were doing your brain dump. Then for 30 minutes, this is the most crucial part, is you want to start grouping similar values together until you reach about 10 total values, 10 total groups. How do you do that? What does that mean? It means that after you've done a brain dump and after you have this list of core values, you're probably going to have 50, 100, 150, 200 words on a piece of paper or on a spreadsheet. But you don't have 50 or 100 or 200 core values, do you? You probably only have about 10. Most people have 9 or 10. And the way that we get to that number is that you look for patterns, you look for trends among the things that you wrote in your brain dump and your core values list. So if you've got health and vitality and strength and beauty and fitness, and all of those things are probably one value. And you can call it whatever you want. You can call it well-being, you can call it feeling like Superman, whatever you want to call it, that's the value that's important to you, right? And you're going to do this for 30 minutes. It usually takes about 30 minutes until you reach about 10 core values. Then my favorite step, of course, is to take a nap, walk away from it, get away from it, sleep on it, right? Clear your head, clear your mind, so that when you come back, you can actually finalize and then name your top 10 core values. So you're going to have 10 or so. You definitely don't want fewer than 7, definitely don't want more than 10. That's way too many cooks in the kitchen. And you want to give them names, and you want to put them in order. This is the hardest part, giving them names, putting them in order. It's crucial. So what does that look like? I will show you. Let's go over to my handy dandy spreadsheet. There we go. If you hear a cat in the background playing around with some paper, that's probably what's happening. All righty. So this was my 10-minute break. As you can see, right? Love, cuddles. I don't know about you guys, but I developed a really great COVID hobby of crocheting. I'm obsessed with it. I love it. Corevalueslist.com. Corevalueslist.com is the website. So this was my brain dump of all the things that really I love and that matter to me. And then I went to this list and I just wrote down the words that really jumped out of the page at me: beyond, bigger, explore, adventurous, curiosity, devout, dreaming, you know, all the things that I was like, yeah, that's me. That's definitely me. Those are my values. Then I took all of those, literally just copy and pasted over to this page. And then I just started putting them into columns. You know, anytime that I had something that was similar, it went into the same column. So learning was the first word in this column. And then when I picked the word growing, and I thought, yeah, learning and growing are the same thing to me right now. And then change is part of learning and growth, being proactive in that change and that learning and that growth, seeing progress, feeling significance, having vision, thinking about the future. All that to me was learning and growth and knowledge and development. All that fell under one little bucket. Great. The words learning and growing and change and proactive may not mean the same things to you, and that's fine. do this for yourself, not what you think other people would say, and be honest with yourself about what really matters to you so that you can finalize your core values. Each of these were the groups from the previous page, right? And then I just started at the bottom thinking, what brings this group together? What are the core foundational ideas? Well, this one was all about devout, discernment, and being virtuous. This whole list right here was newness, untapped, fresh, unique. This whole list was, as you can tell, learning and growth and gaining perspective, right? So I just started to brainstorm kind of what those values were. And then I gave them all names and I put them in order. Simple, easy peasy, except putting them in order is not super simple and easy peasy. That actually requires a lot of, it's literally NCAA head-to-head stuff. It's like, okay, does God or my like healthy body matter more to me? Okay, well, that one's pretty easy for me. It's God and then my healthy body. But then it was like, well, okay, does new things matter more to me than my healthy body? Actually, probably the new things, but I'm not gonna be able to do a whole lot of new things without a healthy body. So that came first, right? Pit them against one another and then put them in order that they matter to you today, period. Okay, that is your core values exercise. Now back to the slides we go, because we have 2 more steps to really make this our reality, to go from where am I in my life right now and what do I care about to living closer to your ideal life and future vision right now, today. And so those 2 steps are going to be your future vision, right? And then the commitments that are going to get you to that vision. When I was young, in high school, I was a church that I was really involved in locally, and they had this great retreat one year called Quo Vadis, and in Latin that means where are you going? Where are you going? Right? We, I think, take steps each and every day without necessarily knowing why or where we're going with those steps. Especially in our career, right? Where is this taking me? Where am I going? Is this where I want to be going? This is a great time to ask those questions. This is a great time in life to ask those questions. It's a great time of the year to ask those questions. And I don't think we're going to get a whole lot more opportunities to ask them in such a powerful way, to ask them while the world is sort of shaking itself out and figuring out our new normal. This is a wonderful time to get back to your core and ask yourself, where am I going? And is the place I've been going to still where I want to go? Because if it's not, that's okay. It just means we need to make different decisions, right? So this is taking visioning one step beyond vision boards, which I love, by the way, because if you can take your life audit, which is going to give you perspective, and then you can take your core values, which is going to give you insight, and you put those 2 things together, you can get a direction, right? If I have objective perspective and new insights, then I can create a new vision. I can have a new direction for my life. And maybe that new direction is just a revitalized same direction, but now it has perspective and insight. It has purpose behind it. And that's great, because without a vision for where we want to go, our actions largely don't matter that much, right? They're going to get us somewhere, but maybe it's not the where that we're made for. Maybe it's not the where where we can add the most value. Maybe it's not the where we can win more than anybody else, right? Maybe it's not our ideal where. So if we want to get somewhere that we actually want to be, then this vision piece is crucial. So I like to think about doing your future vision almost like you did your life audit, just in reverse. So you're going to take those same core areas of your life, social, emotional, physical, etc. And then instead of 3 sections, you're going to have 1 new section, and we're just going to call it ideal, right? If I'm living this area of my life exactly the way I want and in alignment with my values, what does it look like? What am I doing? What is different or the same? What's going on in each of these core areas of your life? Again, set 5 minutes per area. Or otherwise this could take days. And ask yourself, if I were living my core values and life were ideal in this area, right, what would be true? So if I were living my core values and my social life were ideal, what would be true? And then you enforce with visuals and reminders, right? Whatever you need to get yourself there successfully, you do it. So let me show you my example of this. New share. Here we go. Okay. So again, actually what's interesting about this is that I don't have this future vision piece built out, which is funny because in our business, we're constantly evolving what we do and how we teach what we do. And literally 2 weeks ago, one of my head coaches was like, you know, I think we should switch commitments and vision, because what we've done in the past is your life audit, your values, commitments, and then your vision or your goals. And she's like, I really think that commitments should come from your vision, not your vision come from your commitments. So we've reversed them 2 weeks ago. And that's why this is not built out, because I didn't do it. But I really think it's of massive value to do this first, so you know where you're going, so that when you set commitments, they have a reason, right? They have a purpose. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to go with your environmental life, let's say, and you're going to ask yourself, if I'm living in alignment with these values, these are my core values, then what does my environmental life look like? What does the world around me look like? Where do I live? Where do I spend my time? What am I doing, right? What's in my environment? Well, if I'm living in my devout discernment, where I'm seeking sort of input from God for where to go with my life, then I'm probably immersed in some sort of church setting or prayer or the Bible, let's say, right? I'm reading the Bible for the first time this year. So if anybody has any tips on that, let me know. Okay, if I'm living my environmental life in alignment with my values, and one of them is my body, eating and drinking and exercising and sleeping properly, then what is a component of my environment? Well, a cozy house, like a place to come home to where I feel safe, where I feel secure, where I can sleep, where I got this big cozy bed. Every morning I wake up so grateful for my big cozy bed. I love it. So ask yourself, right? If I'm living in alignment with these values and I'm living in an ideal way in this area of my life, what does that look like? And those will become the components of your future vision for yourself and your future vision for your life, and ideally your future vision for your career and how it fits into that ideal life, right? So back we go to our handy dandy spreadsheet. No, we're in the spreadsheet, to our slides. And we're going to wrap this bad boy up with the last of the steps here, which is life audit, core values, future vision, commitments. This is the thing that I get the most excited about for our clients, because commitments are everything. Commitments are everything. We can do a life audit, we can have our values, we can have our future vision, but if we don't commit to the items that will make that future vision our reality, none of the rest of this matters. Right? If you don't go from values to commitments, then your vision does not have a chance of showing up. Nothing will change, right? Commitments are your values and your vision on steroids. Commitments are how we get this done consistently, because this is so powerful. Let's go back one slide. The reason that I teach this is because a few years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, I was at an event, and this senior executive in Dallas was teaching young professionals how he got to where he is in his life and how he and his wife and family make decisions. In particular, this was a kind of religious event. It was young Catholic professionals. So he was talking about his faith as well. But he had this whole system for how he consistently got what he wanted out of his life. And it was creating commitments. And his commitments were so serious that regardless of what he was offered or what fell into his lap, if it didn't align with his commitments, it didn't get done. It didn't happen. And he literally told us the story about how the previous year, his number one commitment to him and his family was to live in Texas until his 2 boys graduated from high school. And they were both like 17. And then, of course, there was a waterfall underneath that. Like, my wife stays home and we live in an old house and we live near our church, or whatever it was, right? He had these sort of like core commitments. Number one was, we're going to live in Texas until my kids graduate. He literally got a call from a company, I think in Washington State. And they said, listen, we want to hire you. We want to pay you double. We'll pay for your moving expenses. We'll give you amazing benefits. You'll have tons of time off. You can travel. You have an expense account, yada, yada, yada. And the job is in Seattle. And when can you be here? Right. And how many of us, be honest with yourself, would be like, my commitments are going out the window for double the pay and amazing benefits. And we get to, travel, and we get to have this expense account, and maybe we get a car, and like, all those things sound amazing, right? In the moment, they're shiny, they're exciting. But he literally said, okay, well, my family's number one commitment is to not leave Texas until my sons graduate. So unless this job exists in Texas, I'm going to politely decline. And then he did not lose sleep over it. Like, can you guys imagine this? He didn't lose sleep. He didn't even second guess his whole decision making process, because he had set these commitments in advance, and they were set around his values, and they were set in order for him and his family to live in alignment. Period. And it was just amazing to me, because I was like, nobody does that. You know, nobody does that. We don't do that. We get excited in the moment about the thing that looks like it's something we should want, like more money or more time off or whatever. And we throw our commitments out the window. And it's how we end up living in places we don't want to live, or never spending time with our family, or, cheating or lying. It's because we got distracted. Commitments keep us on the path, right? It allows us to evaluate our options in a way that feels totally natural and totally effective, because they're in alignment with our values. And then it removes this unnecessary guessing game, right? It eliminates those distractions or feelings of shininess that you're like, oh, I had to do that because it fell in my lap, or I have to do that because of the benefits, or I have to do that because it'd be crazy not to, right? Well, maybe it's not crazy not to. Maybe it's just you, maybe it's your values, and that's fine. It'd be crazy to somebody else, but it makes sense for you. This is how you create freedom in your life, by having a foundational set of commitments for what you care about, so you can live a life and a career where you don't feel like you're sacrificing anything that's really important to you. This is it. This is the game changer. So here's how you create commitments. Okay. If you're taking notes, this is the process. So number one, you want to think about how your values lead to your vision, which then should allow you to create some commitments in order to get to that vision. I like to do this in 4 sections. I like to think about my life as daily, weekly, monthly, and annual commitments. So there are probably some daily habits you can commit to. There are probably some weekly check-ins you can commit to. There might be something that happens monthly. That one usually happens the least often. And then there's the big picture annually, like, who am I going to be this year? What am I going to stand for? That type of commitment. Then I want you to write down, what are my non-negotiable items? Meaning, in each of these areas, what are the things that I will not sacrifice? What are the things that I will not give in around? And then your necessary items. So if you really want to realize your vision, then what's necessary? What must you do? What must you commit to in order to get to that future vision? And then you just make this list. It's a 2021 commitments list. And it will free you, because for the rest of the year, if you have to make a choice, you don't have to go, oh God, am I being emotional about this? Is it my ego? Is it the right thing? Is it the wrong thing? What am I supposed to do? You literally can look at your list of commitments and go, this aligns with all of my commitments. Or, this doesn't even align with my very first and most important commitment. So I'm not going to give it the time of day, right? I'm not going to waste a single moment of not sleeping or worrying or questioning around this thing. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. And it is a game changer, and it is so freeing. So I'm going to show you my commitments list, so you can get an idea of what this looks like. This is going to look real messy. I'm just going to warn you. Okay. So these are my core values over here, their meaning here. And then I thought, okay, what are my commitments? What do I want to get done daily, weekly, monthly, maybe quarterly even? If you think in terms of quarters, that's fine too. By the end of the year, fantastic. So my very first one you guys have seen is Devout Discernment. So I'm doing a Bible in a Year podcast, and I try to journal every day. Am I perfect at it? No. I've probably done it 30 out of 35 days, or however many days have gone by in the year by now. 40 days, I don't know. But I'm catching up, right? I'm doing it. I'm getting back on the horse. I watch and attend mass every week, right? I didn't go to confession in January, shame on me. But churches really aren't open. But what are my commitments sort of on an annual basis? Am I seeking actively to discern where to go from here? Same thing with my health, like move every day for more than 30 minutes. That's a commitment. That's something that I'm not going to sacrifice on, right? Eat well 6 days a week and have Festivus 1 day a week. That's my cheat day. I call it Festivus. And then monthly, I have, okay, I'm going to check in. I'm going to measure. I'm going to record progress. I'm going to see if I need to make any changes around my sleep or my mood or my confidence, right? So I'm going to prioritize caring about my body. And that's going to take top priority this year, right? These are your commitments to yourself. And you can get as granular as I have, or you can keep them really high level, like, we're going to live in Texas until my kids graduate, or I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure my one spouse gets to stay at home, or I get to stay at home, or, we both work part-time, or whatever it is, right? Like, you have your own commitments around you and your family. And these are the game-changing, non-negotiable. I'm going to set this, at least for the next year, in stone, so that I can be, again, what was the purpose of all of this? We got our commitments from our vision for our life. We got our vision from our life from our core values. And we were inspired to our core values by what's going well and what could be going better in our lives right now. So these commitments allow us to get to a reality and then live in the moment a reality that is in alignment, that is honest and authentic. And that is the key to sustainable success, period.
Tracy,
So
here's a question from the chat.
yes.
They're asking, they're curious, why do you not have a quarterly commitment list?
Well, what's funny? I actually have quarterly goals more than I have quarterly commitments. So there's another spreadsheet where I kind of logged, like, okay, if these are all my commitments, like, what am I trying to accomplish? Sorry, I have a cat coming in hot. If these are my commitments, what am I trying to accomplish? And so, for instance, for my my lively longevity one, around my body and sleep and health, instead of having quarterly commitments, I actually have quarterly goals, like lose this much weight, or lose this many inches, or achieve this level of strength, or whatever it is, right? So that by the end of the quarter, I can look back and say, okay, the commitments are the things that I do in a day or a week or a month. And then the quarter is there to measure the effectiveness of those commitments. Did I actually achieve what I hope to achieve? Does this still matter to me? Is this doing what I wanted to do in my life? So, but you can absolutely have quarterly commitments. You can do them however it makes sense to you. Excellent question.
Is your original mission statement? That's just stating.
Somebody is not on mute.
Claire.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So everything you have learned in your life and experienced so far has led you to the career you're in right now. That's just the truth. And it may be somewhere you're happy about. It may be somewhere you are not happy about. And that is okay, because this is a moment where you get to decide. This can be a crossroads for you. This can truly be a turning point where you decide, I'm going to do things differently now, or I'm going to do them similarly, but I'm going to do them with more purpose and more intention and more proactiveness, right? I can do them with a reason, not just because this is the motion that I've been going through, that works, or it doesn't work, but it's just comfortable, right? So I always leave with a call to action, and I'm not leaving. Actually, we've got a lot more time, but this will end my prepared remarks shortly, is that whether or not you take action with me matters very little, except that I know we can help. What matters more is that you take some sort of action from this. Don't let this be yet another webinar you sat through where you're like, that girl had some good ideas, but nah, I'm not going to do anything about it, right? Or, I really think that there's something here and I should do life a little differently. But, I'm not feeling it. Right? Let this be a moment where you decide to choose differently. Because discovering your ideal career and building a life you love will not come from any more sitting around and thinking about it. It comes from doing. It comes from taking an action, learning something, and then taking the next best action. That is the most consistent way to learn, in my experience. So if you are inspired and you want to learn more about what we do, and you want to talk to me or someone on my team about the work that we do, and maybe you perhaps want to think about working with us, then I'd like to offer anybody who's interested a free 50-minute strategy session with either myself or someone on my team. So basically, again, this is just a free 50-minute call that's part coaching and strategy, but then also part, are we a good fit? Do we want to work together? Can we help you? Conversation. So we'll help you figure out where you're stuck. We'll help you figure out what the next best steps are in our experience for you. And we'll decide if we're a good fit together to work together. And for now, it's totally free. So if you want to book a free 50-minute session, again, with someone on my team, they're, again, absolutely free, no pressure here. Go to tracytimm.com/clarity. Wow, there's some kind of truck right outside my Oh, this is life right now, guys. go to tracytimm.com/clarity, or you can use the QR code, just like scan it on your phone, the one that's on the screen right now. Type in your name and email, select a date and a time for your conversation. And then we just have a very short 3-minute career assessment. It's more daunting than it sounds, but it's not as daunting as it sounds. It's literally 3 minutes of questions like, what's your LinkedIn? You know, what can we help you with? What are your goals? What are your obstacles? Things like that. It's pretty straightforward. So if that's of interest to you, go for it. If not, that's totally fine as well. I went ahead and created a guide that's going to walk you through some of the steps we did today, and then also some additional steps to get closer to this define piece that we talked about at the beginning. This website is tracytimm.com, or sorry, tracytimm.lpages, not one pages, lpages.co/crisis. Again, name and email, you get your free guide in an email right away. You'll be signed up for our, it's just a weekly newsletter that I send out that has some career tips and things like that. You can always unsubscribe, it's no big deal. So if you're interested in either of those things, I'm gonna leave this screen up for a little while we do some Q&A. That way you guys can hop on and grab your time slots. You can download this guide. You can shoot me an email. That's my email there at the bottom, tracy@tracytimm.com. I am so grateful to be here. I will continue to sit here and pontificate advice as long as you guys want it. And I'm happy to answer any questions that I have not answered already that may have come up in the chat. And if someone would help me kind of moderate those, that would be fantastic.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tracy. Question, what's the difference between goal and commitment?
Ooh, okay. So in my experience, commitments are yes or no items, meaning I can use this commitment to make a yes or a no decision around something. So let's say one of your commitments is that we're not going to move until, you know, our kids graduate high school. Well, then if someone presents you with an opportunity to leave for a job, to move somewhere else, that is a very quick no, right? However, if somebody let's say you're in Dallas and they offer you this job in Dallas, then it's okay, this aligns with the commitment to stay here. Let's evaluate the merits of this potential job further, right? But pretend it's like if you're mining for gold, you have a sieve, right? Or like aren't they called a sieve? I don't know. The thing you'd shake and the water would fall through it and you'd keep the gold at the top, like the dirt and everything falls through, but the gold stays on the top. That's how you use your commitments. Everything that doesn't fit in those commitments goes right through the sieve, so that what stays at the top are actual viable options, right? Things that are fundamentally in alignment with your values and your vision for your life, because they align with your commitments. Goals are outcomes, right? Goals are, this is how I see it. I could be wrong, but goals are outcomes. Goals are like, okay, well, my commitment to myself is to be healthy and to make healthy choices. My goal is to lose 30 pounds. That's an outcome that would come from that commitment. That's how I see it. You could see it differently. But if you're using the terminology as we've used it here today, then that's the difference in my mind.
Tracy, you're making some very good points and providing us with excellent recommendations. Again, to our participants, feel free to ask questions and to make comments. You can type it into the chat. Tracy, with your presentation today, you've placed a big emphasis on developing a plan and to be proactive as one moves forward in achieving goals and objectives. And it reminds me of a saying in psychological terminology, and it goes like this: your reaction to the problem or to the goal you're seeking to achieve, as well as the problem itself, will determine the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
the thing that I always come back to is like, we don't get to control much. I mean, talk about a year where we all realize that we don't control really anything, right? I mean, at any given time, anything can happen. But what we do get to control is how we respond to it, right? Our reactions, our choices, our actions after the fact. And to me, having these commitments is really the only way that I've consistently been able to evaluate options in a much more logical and authentic and aligned type of way. So I'll give you an example and yes, somebody mentioned, can I unmute to ask a question? You can absolutely do that. Let me give this example, and then whoever wanted to ask a question out loud, please feel free to do that. My favorite example of this most recently is last year I was considering bringing on a business partner. I've been a sole proprietor LLC for 6 years. And frankly, after about 5 years of working primarily alone, my arms got really tired, rowing the canoe by myself. I just I needed help. I wanted help. And I happen to be much more of a creative, presenter, et cetera. And I'd love to have somebody behind me making sure the trains all run on time, right? So I was thinking about bringing on a business partner. And he wanted a much larger percentage of equity than I had mentally been prepared to give him. And I remember sitting and thinking, I immediately think of like Sarah Blakely. She owns 100% of Spanx. Like, why would I give up any of this? I built this, like all this ego stuff, right? And then I was like, all right, self, like practice what you preach. Go back and look at your core values and see if this aligns. Ask yourself if this aligns with your commitments. You guys, I did a pro-con list. I had my 10 core values in the middle of the sheet. I had the decision at the top, say yes to this partnership. And anything that aligned as an outcome went on the left, and anything that was a con, like didn't align, went on the right, or vice versa. I had 5 times more positive things that would come of that than negative. And the only thing that was really keeping me from like wholeheartedly moving forward was the emotion in the moment, was the ego part, which frankly, I don't think we can ignore our emotions completely, but it allowed me to look objectively and go, this is the right choice for right now. This is the right choice for right now. Now that partnership ended up not working out for other reasons. It's actually an ironic story. He ended up going through my career clarity program to make sure that he believed in the product. And it worked so well that he realized that that was not the right business opportunity for him. So we parted ways in the most ironic of possible ways. But it worked out for both of us the best, because if it's not the best opportunity for him, then it's not the best opportunity for me, right? If we're not both in alignment, then great, go do something else. So yes, I think to bring that all back, it really is, that's how I believe this is how we can make the next best decision and respond to the world around us, even though we can't really control it.
Okay. There's a question from the chat. I've asked the participant if they would unmute themselves to ask you the question directly, Tracy.
Sure.
Hi, Tracy. This is Judith.
Hi, Judith.
I apologize. I came in late, but what I heard was amazing and very detailed. I got stuck on the code. I didn't know how to scan the code. So you're teaching me something new. I'm stretching. So I'm grateful for that. But I've done a lot of these different courses, et cetera. And what I love about what you've done is that it's very detailed. It also covers a lot of territory. But I'm just curious if and you may have already addressed this, is there one book that for you was like, oh my God, this is the thing that's grounded me? Maybe you've done 10 different things as well, but one particular, beyond your own book, of course.
I was going to say, can I shamelessly plug my own book?
Of course you can. So in addition to your book, which you must plug, is there another one that you thought literally like changed your, like, wow, this is the one?
I got to tell you guys, the answer is yes. You're going to think this is the cheesiest book of all time, Judith, but it was a massive game changer for me. It's a coffee table book called If Life is a Game, These Are the Rules. So the author is Dr. Cherie Carter Scott. She wrote this list of the 8 rules for being human or something like that. And it was published in the very first publishing of Chicken Soup for the Soul, but it was published under anonymous. And Jack Canfield found out that she wrote this list and asked her to if he could put her name in the second publishing. And she said, no, it's not a big deal. It's fine. And then she said right after that, she got inspired to take that list and write a book about it, like a book about each rule, if you will, in the list. The book is this big. It's teeny tiny. I carry a copy of it with me. I probably have it sitting like right here somewhere. it is a game changer. And with each rule comes a virtue. So like rule number 1 is you will be given a body. And then the virtues are, what is that supposed to teach us? What are we supposed to learn from that rule? One of the best ones, though, to go along with what we were just talking about is I think it's rule number 6. I don't know. I wrote about it in my book, and I wrote a blog post about it as well. You could probably find, where she says, oh gosh, it's basically everything in your life is up to you, more or less. It's the whole idea of taking ownership and responsibility for everything that happens. And I think the actual rule is like, you are the only constant in your own life. That's the way she put it. It's like everything else changes around you, but you are the only constant in all of your decisions. You're the only constant in all of your circumstances. So like, if you see a pattern coming up in your life, it's not because everybody else around you is crazy. It's because you're doing something to consistently produce that pattern in your life. And I found that very freeing, because that was a moment in time where I think I had dated 3 guys in succession, and each of them had lasted exactly 3 months, and each of them had broken up with me. And I was like, what is going on here? What is the pattern? How am I creating this thing? And come to find out, it was because I was doing the exact same thing every time. So the book, again, is called If Life is a Game, These Are the Rules. If life is a game, yeah, these are the rules, here are the rules, something like that. The author is Dr. Cherie Carter Scott. Here, I'll put it in the chat. It's amazing.
Hi, Tracy. I'm jumping in. It's Regine.
Hi.
How are you?
Really well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, you're pretty great. I have to admit. I have to agree. And you made me get up because I actually have that book. And I've read it many years ago.
Yes.
And I had it like on my top shelf because I was like, you know what? I need to read this again.
Yes.
What was number 6 you were talking about? I actually had to go downstairs and get it. So yeah, tell me what you were looking at. Number 6 you mentioned, right? It was your favorite one or something?
Yeah, it's basically the concept that that everything in life is up to us. Like, we sort of co-create our reality, or you're the only constant. I think it's number 6.
Let me look at number 6. I have it. You made me get up because it was like, yeah. When there is a no better than here. That's number 6.
Oh, okay.
When you're there has become a here.
What's number 7?
Is that the one you're thinking of? You're thinking of 7, maybe?
I don't know.
Let me look. Which ones were you? What was your idea? What was the one you were thinking it was?
I'm Googling.
Okay.
Relentlessly.
Because I have the book right in front of me. I'm just trying to see which one you were talking about, because I feel like, we're on the same page here. So I bought this book many years ago to figure out my life, and so I haven't figured it out yet, but I'm like, if you think that's the best book, even better than yours, I can't imagine you would say that, but there it is.
Well,
means you're an honest girl.
It was highly influential, right? It was hugely influential in kind of how I see things, and it gave me, I don't know, it gave me hope in a moment in my life where I was pretty hopeless, and I tried to model some of the book. I think I wrote about her in the book several times. Oh wait, here we go. Oh, it's number 7. It's number 7. Others are only mirrors of you. And then
there you go. Okay. Number
8 is what you make of your life is up to you.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna get in touch with you. I think you're pretty fabulous. Yeah.
Thank you. Yay. I'm honored. I'm really honored to be here.
Thank you, Tracy, for sharing this unfinished wisdom with us. I think just looking at what you're saying, and I'm thinking to myself, how many times do I have to do this to get it right? And so one of the questions I wanted to ask is that, how, looking back from your own experience, how did you overcome the fear of like leaving the corporate world, embarking in this soul searching, and then in also going in business for yourself? Because a lot of people don't come from money, and and we are programmed by the institution, the school system, to look for jobs.
Yes.
But we are never encouraged to get this introspection where you look at, okay, what does it really matter? I mean, what matters most for you in this quest? So if you speak a bit to that from your own lenses, and see, but perhaps your journey could eliminate from sort of for some of us.
Yeah.
what our next steps should be. And before I close, I just want to, would it be okay if I share this gift with somebody else? Because I know, speaking about, my friend has been fiancé 5 times, I fell through 5 times. So I think, and he was wondering recently, what's he doing wrong? So perhaps this free 15 minutes might help him somehow. So if you don't
Please,
mind sharing with him, I would do that.
please, yes, we're always I think sometimes the ripple effect of these conversations is the most powerful, because everybody on this call, whether this is you today, knows somebody in your life who's really unhappy with where they are, probably professionally, and is just searching for clarity, is searching for inspiration and hope, and motivation. So please, yeah, anybody who wants to share this out, take a screenshot or feel free to forward the URL. That's wonderful. Okay, so
Hi, yes, I have a question.
yes, hold on. Who's sorry?
Yeah. Abby.
Abby.
Dear Abby, yes.
Dear Abby, you're so cute. Okay, Abby, may I answer John's question real quickly?
Oh, sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah. So I think what you're asking, and the part is it Jean? Is that how you say your name, Jean?
Yes.
Okay.
Jean. Yeah.
Is that, and Abby, don't forget your question. Is the fear piece? How do you overcome for me, okay, I'm going to keep this as simple as possible. We are always going to be afraid. We are biologically hardwired for fear. It kept us alive for, tens of thousands of years, right? And it will continue to do so into the future. There's a great book by Elizabeth Gilbert called Big Magic, where she talks about being creative and how fear keeps us from allowing our inner creative out, right? Fear of judgment, fear of feedback, fear of failing, whatever it is. And she's like, listen, we're hardwired for fear. It's there to take care of us. It's there to say hey, don't run over to that bush that sounds like bees are in it, run away. But today, fear is misplaced often, right? She's like, instead of running away from a saber-toothed tiger, we're sitting down to write a poem. And our body has the same response, right? The fear feels the same, even though we're not in imminent danger, right? We're not in trouble. What we're afraid of can't hurt us in the same way that the biological purpose of fear could hurt us, right? So she's like, hey, you just have to get used to it. You have to recognize that your fear is not going to go away. You have to put it in its proper place. So instead of letting it drive the car or even sit in the front seat and handle the radio, it goes in the trunk. It's coming with you. But if it's in the trunk, then it doesn't get to play the radio. It doesn't get to change the AC, right? It doesn't get to slam on the brakes randomly. It's not in control. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
So I love that just as a concept, but I'll tell you that the only way that I've consistently been able to get over my own fear is by understanding what we regret. So when I was on semester at sea, which I did right after I quit Wall Street, I don't come from money either necessarily. I got recruited to play a sport in college. That's how I got to Yale, which was amazing. Both my parents are from the Midwest. Never thought I'd go to a school like that. It was awesome. Ended up getting financial aid. Lovely. But my first 2 years out of school, when I worked on Wall Street, I was squirreling money away. I was like, I hate this job and this is not going to last very long. So every penny was going into savings. My friends were going out to eat and I was like, I'm going to have a salad from Trader Joe's and I'm going to save that $50 or whatever. So I was able to pay for the majority of my travel when I left. And on semester at sea, I met this incredible professor of social psychology, I guess you'd call it. And I was at my wit's end by the end of that trip because I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And I thought I had put all this money and this time into this traveling experience of semester at sea. And the goal was to figure out my next step. The goal was to know what I wanted to be when I grew up by the end of that trip. And I think we had 2 weeks left. And I was like, crap, I still don't know what it is. I still don't know what it is. And I asked him directly, thank you, Kelly. I asked him directly, should I just go back to what I was doing and just find an environment that I can last in, because it's all I'd ever done. And what else was I going to do with a psychology degree and 2.5 years on Wall Street? Right? Or should I keep looking? You know, should I keep searching for this dream, right? This ideal, this sort of, you know, perfect job for me? Should I keep looking? And he said, without question, it is always worth it to, this is how he put it is always worth it to take your meaningful shot for the stars. Because in psychology, the way our brain works, there are only two types of regrets that a human can experience. You can regret something that you did wrong, right? Like I cheated, I lied, I stole, and you can regret it. You can feel bad. Or you can regret something you didn't do at all. So I had the opportunity to say I love you and I didn't. I had the opportunity to change jobs and I didn't. I had the opportunity to insert thing, right? Move, whatever, and I didn't do it. What's fascinating is that the first example, regretting something you did, it's painful, right? It hurts. We have to deal with it. We usually have to come into conflict. It's not fun, but it has an end. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end if it were a story, right? What happens with regrets for something you didn't do is that there's no end. There's no known end to the story, right? You had an opportunity, you didn't take it. And now, instead of an end to the story, there are an infinite amount of possible ends to the story. And what's fascinating about this is that the brain, even though we know logically we can never know what would have happened, the brain wants an end to the story. So it will keep searching. It will keep searching. And this is why when we're, you know, old and we look back on our lives, or when we're young and we look back on our lives, the things we regret the most are the things that make us stay up at night going, what if, what if, what if, what if, what if, what if, right? Because the brain is asking that question over and over and over, trying to find an answer, which means if you actively don't take a risk, right? Or you actively don't pursue something that's like on your heart, your whole life, you're going to wonder what would have happened. And you can't stop that. You know what I mean? Like your brain will keep doing it, even though you know it's not logical. And honestly, he was like, that to me is riskier than doing something and it not working out, or doing something and falling on your face, or doing something and it being a failure, right? He's like, it's always worth it because you'll never regret trying and it not going the way you hoped more than you'll regret not trying and wondering what would have happened. It is the only mindset that consistently keeps me doing crazy things like writing a book. Or I'm that girl who will go up to somebody in a bar because I'm like, what if they're my future husband? You know, I don't want to miss out. Like, I don't want to wonder what if, right? I do those things because I believe that to be true. I really don't want to regret something that I just didn't have the courage to do because I was afraid, because I know that it's going to haunt me forever. So I don't do that. And to answer, you know, to fully flesh out this answer, how many times am I going to have to keep doing this? The answer is as many as it takes. As many as it takes. I quite frankly, I started the beginning of this year. You guys just saw all my core values and everything. I'm not motivated by the business that I have in the way that I was last year. I woke up kind of lacking inspiration, not being excited about what I had to do in a given day. And I realized it's because I worked my way into this spot in my own business where I'm not Tom Brady, you know, I'm working my way there, but I'm not in the right spot to have the most energy, to have the most wins, to have the most fun. I'd worked myself into more of an administrative and team building and HR kind of role, which clearly is not my genius zone. This is my genius zone. Hopefully, it seems like it. I think it is. So it's as many times as it takes. You come back and you do your values again. You know, you come back and you audit again. And I do it once a year. I do it once a year just to make sure that I'm on the right page with myself and I'm not operating off of old assumptions. And I'm doing the best I can to be proactive and forward thinking. So I hope that helps. I hope
that helped tremendously. Thank you.
That no regrets thing. I live with it every day. It helps me constantly. So good.
Yeah, we have one more comment before we call it a day. And
You were
Abby,
gonna.
I want to hear
You're
Abby's
gonna answer
first, since she waited so patiently.
Oh,
Abby,
but
Okay,
if there was
gotta
someone
call-
before me, if there was someone before me, oh, it's late. Yeah. Hi, good morning. Thank you. Jean, thank you for your question because the fear thing is all about it for me. But over 40, many of us are over 50 and over 60 and feeling that regret. So if you have anything directly to us, I mean, and the other thing is I put in the chat, and I don't know if you see this, but anybody willing to get together. This is how I did it in 40 plus when I took the class 10 years ago, but it's like, I need people because I've fallen on my face so many times and have been in so many situations that did not match my values. So thank you very much, Tracy. And thanks everybody for being here.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. So advice. So on Friday, I had a conversation with a man who was a participant on a presentation that I did a few weeks ago. And he's 68 years old and enrolled in our Career Clarity program on the spot. And he'll be my oldest client. But the reason is, like, to date, I think the reason that I'm so confident that we can help him is that John, the short answer to that is yes. If you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. The reason that I know we can help him is because last year, including the guy who I said I was potentially going to have as a business partner, he was 65, I believe. And then my mom, who's 61, also went through our Career Clarity program because she took a package from a company she'd been at for 31 years, but she's not ready to retire. And she didn't know what she wanted to do because all of a sudden she didn't have a job and was like freaking out about that, right? She is now more on fire than I have ever seen her because she went through the clarity process with us to know with certainty what she wants to do moving forward, even well into her 60s, right? Not just operating off the assumption of what she'd been doing in the past, but actually getting clear on what she wants right now, what's inspiring to her right now, and what job would be exciting and fun and interesting to do right now, right? And it turns out it's something that she did back in her 20s. But she was re-inspired because we forced her to look back that far and sort of pull, those insights forward. So I know it's so cliche, but I really think it's not too late. It's never too late. I thought it was too late at 25, sad little me going, I have to start my life over and I'm behind and everybody's ahead of me. And I wasted 2.5 years on Wall Street and blah, blah, blah. It's so easy to look back if you're not really in love with things you've done in the past and say, I wasted time, or what was the point? None of it's useful, right? Another person I met on Semester at Sea, this incredible mentor, she taught me this mindset. She calls it the nothing is wasted mindset. Pretty straightforward. The nothing is wasted mindset means you have a choice. You have a perspective choice when we look back on our lives with hindsight. You can either look at it and just declare it not useful because it isn't directly relevant to what you want to do in the future, or you can look at it and say, I will not allow this to be wasted time. So what can I pull out of it that's useful going forward? Sure. Right. And it's so powerful because I look back at my time on Wall Street and I was like, okay, do I ever want to do finance again? Definitely not. But did I learn anything that's valuable that I can bring forward with me? Did I learn anything at all about myself, about the world? Did I add a skill? Did I add a little piece of knowledge, whatever, that I can pull forward? And guess what? I worked on a credit desk. So all I did was look at balance sheets basically all day long. So when it came time to start a business and an LLC, I was like, I know these things, I know profit and I know margins and I know, value and it was useful, even though I never saw that coming. You know what I mean? So Abby, I would encourage you to just look objectively back at some of the major jobs you've had, major life experiences, moments of education, if you will. So degrees and certifications, et cetera. And ask yourself, like, what did I learn from this? What did I enjoy the most? And what can I use going forward? And then anything else that you didn't enjoy or didn't learn from or don't want to use, like, let it go. We don't have to bring all the baggage with us. We could choose to bring the positive stuff forward. And that's what I try to choose to do. Am I perfect at it? No. Do I feel like I waste time? Sometimes. But I try really hard to look back at my experiences and pull some value out of them so that I don't ever feel like I wasted time.
Tracy, we have several inquiries about your slides, your PPT, as to whether you would make your slides available for participants upon request.
Yes, I'd be happy to do that. What I can do is set up a page where people can download the slides. And that's how I can control them not sort of getting like disseminated, broadly. But I can set up a page and send it to Jeffrey, and then anybody who wants the slides can just go there and download them. Will that work?
I think that will work very, very well. I can tell you that there are many accolades, as in kudos, about the quality, the high quality of your presentation. And rest assured, we will invite you back to 40 plus in time to come.
Happy to, because then we can go even deeper into the nature and the nurture and the niche piece. And there's a lot more for us to do, for sure.
Hey, Tracy. Yeah, I was wondering if I send you an email, and would you be willing to do a speak at a group for me?
Yeah, man, bring it on. Email away.
Okay. Yep. Is it Tracy at tracytimm.com?
That's it. And then you guys can also connect with me on LinkedIn. Same name.
Already sent you an invitation.
Perfect. Thanks, Kelly.
Excellent.
You
Tracy,
had a thing about a signed copy. How do we get that?
If you shoot me an email and in the subject line, write signed copy of Unstoppable, then we'll just exchange. I'll get, where you want me to send it and who you want it addressed to, and I'll send you a link to check out and sort of purchase it, and then I'll send it to you. It's the easiest way I've figured out. I'm sitting on about 1,800 copies of this book. So if you guys want a signed copy, you get it directly from me. I cannot sign copies that come through Amazon or anybody else, because I don't even get to see those. They just get sent to you. So.
Tracy Timm, author, career coach, and career clarity expert. Thank you again for a fantastic presentation.
Thank you, guys.
And this concludes our Monday speaker event. And for next week, February the 15th, we have Milry Williams. He's a career coach and consultant, and he'll be speaking on the topic, creating a collaborative mindset and empowering people to be more than we think we can be. Have a great week. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you.
Please get in touch if you want to go deeper on any of this.
Will do.
Thanks, guys. Great session today.
Thank you.
Mm.